we are going to be reviewing the Thomas Seasons Hit Era. So, it's time to start, and so we're just going to dive right into it. I'm going to talk about the characters from this era next week, and so we're just going to dive into Season 8 right away with my favorite episodes, and then I'm going to give them a score. You might not remember this because it's been about a month since I last did it after Season 24 started airing, but right now, this is what we have to do. So, let's get into it. And my personal favorite episode from the season, as you might have guessed by the footage by now, is Edward the Great. This is an amazing episode. It takes Edward and it just makes it such an amazing type. I really like this episode for what it is, and it's basically Tortoise in the Hare all over again, except this time it's with Edward and Spencer, not with Max, Monty, and Buster. And so this is just an amazing episode, amazing characters, amazing interactions, and it's just a great episode. And that's it. My second favorite episode from this season is Thomas to the Rescue. Why? Because of the interactions. The interactions in this episode are just amazing. You don't think that any other episode can have the interactions that this one has. Between the Steamies and the Diesels, it's just amazing. I love this episode, and it's amazing. My least favorite episode from this season is Emily's Adventure. Why? Because of how babyish it is. It's so babyish because, I don't know. Use your please and thank you. Is that the best you could come up with? Use your please and thank you. That is not what I want. We want something better than use your please and thank you. So, it's a terrible episode, really, and yeah. It's terrible, and not to mention how Emily was destroyed. For the next 8 years, this was the way that kind character we got in Season 7 was. For the next 8 years. And I do not like this one bit. Thank you. Thank you for watching Season 8. I give it a 70 out of 100. My favorite episode from Season 9. Season 9 was the best of the new series. My favorite episode from the season has to be Percy and the Oil Painting. It's amazing. I just love this episode because it's not really that bad. It's the best in the new series and definitely a great one. Percy and the Oil Painting have interactions that are amazing. And not to mention Percy. Percy is the best part of this episode. Percy's persona and himself is the best part of this episode. It's better than any of the other new series. Any of the new series. That's why I like it so much, because it's so good. My second favorite episode from this season is The Magic Lamp. It's amazing. It's a very spooky episode. And since Halloween is in 21 days, it's a great theme. It goes great with the day that this review is coming out. And I really like this episode for what it is. It's a spooky themed episode, and maybe I'll do some random Halloween live streaming on my second YouTube channel, but I'll say that later. But it's just a very amazing episode, good, fun, entertaining, and I just really like it. And that is my thoughts on The Magic Lamp. Now, for my least favorite episode of this season, Thomas and the New Engine. Why do I hate it? Well, Thomas and the New Engine is just such a terrible episode for one reason. the characters. Every single one of the STEAM team members is out of character. Emily is just, except for Emily, I guess. But the other STEAM team members are completely out of character in this episode. I like Neville as a character, but his debut episode just wasn't that good. I don't like it, and I wish they could have done some more developing. So, that is my thoughts on season 9. Let's see what season's next. I'm going to go ahead and tell you my thoughts on that season. But I give season 9 an 80 out of 100 stars. It's a good season. Now let's talk about this season. It was okay. It was not good. It had a lot of terribleness. Although it was nice to see Sir Handel again, I just didn't like this season at all. My favorite episode was Thomas and Scarlowi's Big Day Out. It's a great episode. The interactions between Thomas and Scarlowi are great, and you feel sorry for Scarlowi because he's feeling sad, really. I just really like this episode. It's a great episode, a great fresh start. It's a great episode, and I think season 10 aired 14 years from this month. But it's a good episode. My second favorite episode from this season is Thomas and the Birthday Mail. Why? Why Thomas and the Birthday Mail? Because it introduces us to an amazing character called Rosie. I love Rosie. She's a great character, one that's heavily used to this day, and not to mention, her interactions with Thomas are amazing. This is just a great episode, a great start to the new series, and the sets look really nice in this season, especially with the background farms and all, and it's just an amazing season. I really like it. An amazing episode. My least favorite episode from this season and in the whole TV show is Edward Strikes Out. It's terrible. I hate Edward Strikes Out. It's terrible. I don't like it because it's so terrible. It's written poorly. And I just hate this episode for what it is. Although it was nice to see Rocky, he's a great addition to the TV show, the episode itself is terrible because Edward has been destroyed. He was destroyed before, but here he's especially terrible. It's terrifying, horrible, depressing that the character who started it all has become what he's become. It's terrible, depressing, horrifying, and I hate this episode. And yeah. So in conclusion, season 10 was terrible. I give it a -1 out of 100. That is my thoughts on the season. My favorite episode from season 11. Season 11 was also terrible. But although it was a step up from season 10, we didn't like it. And one thing that it was nice to see some of the characters return. Like, guess who we got back? We got back Arthur, we got back Donald, and we got back Douglas in this season. But that doesn't make up for the terrible season. And Arthur, Donald, and Douglas were returners. And I really like Gordon and the Mechanic as my favorite episode because it's amazing. The interactions are amazing, and we get some returning characters. And a lot of the episode is just Gordon. Gordon with his usual personality and stuff like that. And I just really like this episode. And my second favorite episode from this season is Thomas in the Runaway Car. It's hilarious. I love this episode. It's hilarious. Basically how Thomas lets the car go running by other engines. It is really, really funny, and I really, really love this episode. I was laughing my head out while watching it because of the movement, the pacing, and everything that goes on. It's just hilarious. But anyway, that is this episode. And my least favorite episode from season 11 is Don't Be Silly Billy. And you probably all know why. We get introduced to merchandising character number 1, Billy. He's terrible. I hate him. He's just an awful character. The rhymes and alliteration are my waste of my time. Billy basically says the same thing a million times. Stop telling me what to do, Thomas. You are a very bossy engine. It's like said a million times and it gets irritating. Also, why does Billy need to deliver chickens to the docks? Does Salty want them? Watch Northwestern 04's The Thomas Critic if you want to find out. It's a nice one. Again. But this is it. We never see Billy again. He's replaced by Charlie, an even more awful character. Billy's kind of cool in my opinion, based on himself, but still, he's a terrible character. I hate him. I hate this episode, and I hate it. So, season 12 was another terrible season. With the episode, we're going to start with my favorite episode. It's called Saved You. The Thomas interactions are really meh in this episode, but it's still a funny episode, really. And it was nice to see Alice again, but she was never mentioned by name or anything like that. And this is a really good episode. Emily Return kind of has her old persona again, and I just kind of like it. My second favorite episode in this season is Percy in the Bandstand. Well, it starts with Percy without a CGI face and then translates to him with one. We see Miss Jenny one last time for, I don't know. We see her one last time for 9 years. We see the Jack and Alfie one last time. And it's just a good episode. Also, if you noticed, did Miss Jenny get a haircut? Or something? This is a good episode. And the interaction of Percy and Lady Hat is pretty funny. And we get this stock footage from Don't Be Silly Billy, which I hate. But other than that, this is a pretty good episode. I like it. But yeah. So that is pretty much my thoughts on this episode. My only problem and little nitpick is that it keeps on having CGI face free. But that's it. This is my thoughts on... Alright, so now let's talk about my least favorite episode. Excellent Emily. Again, for the same reason I hate Emily's Adventure. Because Emily is out of character. I hate this episode. Emily is really dumb and out of character. And the Steam Team in general really for this season. And season 12 was bland. It had nothing. But little did we know that it was going to get much worse with season 13. And that, folks, is my Hit Era review. Like and subscribe, turn on the notifications. I'll talk about new characters next week.